people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Okay, we'll start with this. A fight that we talked about in my previous video. It's official. Mary Spencer versus Femke Hermans rematch for the vacant IBF title on October 11th. Initially, when I heard about this fight, this rematch, the rumor was it was going to be for 2 alphabet titles, not just 1. But official reports don't seem to indicate 2 alphabet titles on the line. It's just the IBF. Mary Spencer will have the opportunity to avenge her lone career defeat, which was inflicted on her last December by the Belgian Femke Hermans, as the IBO world title slipped through her fingers. The stakes are high for the Eye of the Tiger management protege, who will now have the chance to claim the vacant IBF World Championship belt at 154. The showdown set to take place on October 11th at the Casino de Montreal promises to be a grudge match. I'm very excited to have this opportunity to fight for the IBF title, and I must say that facing Femke Hermans again brings me even more motivation. I am confident, and I know that with the work I've done in the gym so far in the weeks to come, I will be the best prepared version of myself. We know that the upcoming fight between Terry Harper and Cecilia Brækhus is supposed to be for 2 of the 4 alphabet titles at this weight. Terry Harper's WBA and Natasha Jonas's old WBO, the newly vacated WBO title. Spencer versus Hermans 2 being for the IBF. The question is, where's the WBC? Who's going to be fighting for that? Mary Spencer was supposed to have a rebound fight earlier this year, and she ended up withdrawing from that fight due to an injury. I don't think it's encouraging. I don't think it's ideal that she hasn't had the chance to rebound under the hot lights ahead of this Femke Hermans rematch. The only hope is that Mary Spencer will conjure up her extensive amateur background, use her boxing brain to figure out where did things go wrong with Femke in the first fight so that she can correct them in the second. For me and my money, she was simply too gung-ho, too trigger-happy, and she paid for it. Walking into several clean counters, what looked to me like a knockdown, even though the referee ruled it a slip, Mary Spencer was coming apart at the seams. Femke gave her all she could handle by just sitting back and using her aggression against her. Following the heartbreaking loss, Spencer showed great resilience and made significant changes within her team and training methodology. The Olympian evaluated the areas she needed to improve and sought additional resources and expertise to continue her progress. Her team is working together to optimize her training and maximize her results, and the progress is remarkable, as noted by her new coach, Samuel Drolet.
Meow.
Every day I try to take Mary to hell because that's what Hermans made her go through in their last fight. The training is tough and we constantly push her limits. The difference this time is that Mary will feel at home when Hermans tries to take her to hell. And not only will she face the music, but she will also lead the dance. The jab is key. The jab is the ticket, and changing the cadence on the jab in order to disguise Mary's power shots. Up until the Hermans fight, she was basically plowing through every girl they put in front of her. Big part of the reason it took me by surprise that she lost to Femke Hermans. I was convinced she was going to run over Femke the same way she's been running over everybody else. Since her victory over Spencer, Hermans has successfully defended the IBO title twice through stoppage victories against Katarina Vistakika and Maria Lindberg. The former WBO world champion hopes to achieve the same result October 11th at the Casino de Montreal and is fully prepared to defeat the Montreal native once again. Mary Spencer's a tall drink of water, tall drink of boxing. Ahead of a Femke Hermans fight, part of what she needs to change is disguising the power shots, not committing to them so much. Getting within striking distance first, behind the jab, her own jab, stepping into it. Double up on the jab, step into it. Go out there winging shots that can be countered. That was the problem problem the first time. Mary Spencer, in spite of her decorated amateur background, fell in love with her own power, thinking she was going to run over Femke the same way she ran over everybody else. Given her amateur background and a boxing brain, I wholeheartedly believe that Mary Spencer can avenge the loss, and disguising her power shots, she is an offensively gifted fighter. Statuesque, long and limber, and very strong. Real stopping power. Don't want to be presumptuous, but I've got a lot of faith in Mary Spencer's boxing brain and her physical attributes, her physical ability. She just needs to tighten up on a few things, and she can win this fight. If you'd been watching Mary up until the Hermans fight, you wouldn't have blamed her for thinking she could plow through Femke the way she was plowing through everybody else. Femke just got knocked out by Savannah Marshall up there at middleweight, so it seemed logical. A foregone conclusion almost that Mary would win the fight and win the fight by way of knockout. Boxing has a way of surprising you. Theater of the unexpected. So we've gotten 2 fights out of this engagement instead of just 1, except this time it's for a world title, the IBF title. Added motivation for Mary Spencer to right the wrongs of yesterday, today.
Dial it down a bit, Tony Robbins.
Point is, I think she can win the fight, and I look forward to seeing it in the fall. Look for Spencer versus Hermans 2 in October. Men's super featherweight news. Emmanuel Navarrete is unconcerned about hand injury in Valdez win. I should be fine in just a couple of days. It's safe to say that that's the most injury caused by Valdez to Navarrete because his punches weren't doing anything.
The most he could do was hurt his hand with his face.
It caught him on the top of the head and it caused a bit of inflammation. Navarrete explained to BoxingScene.com and other reporters after his terrific win atop Saturday's ESPN telecast. The doctor looked at it after the fight, and it's fine. I should be fine in a couple of days.
You know, normally boxer punchers have a tactical advantage, a stylistic advantage over pressure fighters, pressure guys like Emmanuel Navarrete. But I guess he's more than just your run-of-the-mill pressure fighter.
Oscar Valdez had the right idea, creating a bit of space, bobbing and weaving his normal fight schedule when the time comes to discuss his next title defense. It's definitely not broken, Navarrete confirmed. It briefly swelled up, but I was able to fight through it.
Emmanuel Navarrete is one of 4 champions at super featherweight.
Before you go starting up with the unification matches, the unification talk, do realize that there are political boundary lines that prevent certain fights from happening. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see Emmanuel unify titles at 130 pounds because the WBA title, which is held by Hector Luis Garcia, he's over there at the PBC. I don't know if they're going to send him to top rank.
I don't think they will.
The IBF title, which is held by the Welshman Joe Cordina, that's over there at Matchroom. The WBC title, which is held by Oshaki Foster, a network and promotional free agent.
His next fight is happening under the Matchroom banner as a result of the purse bid they won. Their guy, Eduardo Hernandez,
recent Matchroom signee and the mandatory challenger to Oshaki Foster's green belt. All of that is happening on the Matchroom side of things, and I would anticipate that the winner of that fight, whoever it is, might end up fighting Joe Cordina.
They'll unify.
But I don't think that Bob Arum and the people at Zenfer, I don't think they're going to send Emmanuel Navarrete over to Matchroom or over to the PBC, and I don't think those outfits are going to send their champions to them.
Perhaps that's why Emmanuel is now welcoming a fight with Shakur Stevenson, who campaigns 1 division north of Super Feather at lightweight.
Perhaps it's because he knows the odds of him getting one of the other champions at the weight in the ring is slim pickings.
Slim to nil.
So he doesn't want to wait, and he's willing to take on Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson, who awaits the WBC's decision on opponent for lightweight title. Haney, Lomachenko have been ruled out.
You know, I think if Vasyl Lomachenko would have been awarded the decision in the Haney fight, I think he would have went into the Stevenson fight with no problem.
But when you get jiked like that, it affects you, it bothers you, and you don't know if you can conjure up the same energy, the same enthusiasm to be fighting for titles when by all rights, you should have them already.
You got robbed.
Shakur Stevenson will challenge for, and likely win, a 3rd divisional title in his next fight. It's highly unlikely, however, that it will come versus the type of high-profile opponent he sought since moving up in weight. Appealing options to face undisputed lightweight champion Devin Haney or former 3-division titleist Vasyl Lomachenko are no longer on the table for Stevenson, who will instead next fight for the vacant WBC title. The 2016 Olympic silver medalist and former WBO featherweight featherweight and WBC WBO junior lightweight champion, will likely headline a November 16th ESPN show in Las Vegas, though less certain is who will be in the opposing corner.
Isaac Cruz wasn't in no hurry to fight this guy when the WBC ordered them to fight months ago.
Months later, I still don't think he's in any hurry to fight Shakur.
We'll have to see what the WBC decides. They'll have to go down the rankings and see who's available.
Says Hall of Fame promoter Bob Arum. There was a whole hullabaloo a couple of weeks ago about Devin Haney making Shakur Stevenson an offer for 25% of the overall pot.
Interesting revelations in reference to that offer. Interesting revelations by way of Bob Arum.
The supposed offer that was sent to him from Devin, the 20 or 25% for a fight. Was there any real substance behind that?
No. I don't think Haney was particularly anxious to fight Shakur because it's frankly probably a fight that Shakur is going to win. So Haney is better off fighting at 140, where his body is calling for, because it's more and more difficult for him to make the 135 limit.
You heard it from the horse's mouth. Bob Arum says there was no substance to Devin's offer.
On that basis, whatever he was offering doesn't look like it was coming from Top Rank, so what was it?
Stevenson seemed more intent on next facing Ukraine's Lomachenko, as he believed Haney would vacate at least one title to instead challenge WBC super lightweight champion Regis Prograis. The latter option was taken off the table once it was learned that Lomachenko is likely done for the year.
We believe he will come back sometime in early 2024. He's rated very highly by all four sanctioning body organizations. He'll fight for a title eventually, just not versus Shakur Stevenson, who is gonna fight later this year.
You think about what's supposed to be Devin's offer to Shakur Stevenson, and how doesn't sound like it was coming from Top Rank. No, according to Top Rank, according to Bob Arum, the offer had no substance.
Doesn't sound like it was coming from them.
So then what the hell was it?
A bluff.
Because Shakur's not fighting Devin Haney, and because he's not fighting Vasyl Lomachenko, that's where Emmanuel Navarrete comes into the picture. As I stated, it's not likely that Emmanuel gets one of the champions at his own weight in the ring, so it's possible that very soon he might move up
He
again.
welcomed the Shakur Stevenson fight after he beat Valdez.
My honest opinion is that if he could get any one of those three champions in the ring at his own weight, in no particular order, I would pick Emmanuel Navarrete to beat every single one of them, from Joe Cordina to O'Shaquie Foster.
The heck to Luis Garcia.
I think he beats them all, but unfortunately, due to the politics, I don't think he's actually going to get the chance to fight any of those champions. So, what he might end up doing is moving up in weight, fighting Shakur Stevenson for one of Devin Haney's newly vacated titles. That's what might happen.
Being honest, I think it's too soon for him to move up in weight. He's only been at Super Feather for 2 fights.
But as stated, it's not likely he fights in a unification match, and he himself is welcoming a Shakur Stevenson fight. So that's something to think about for down the line.
Might happen.
Frustrated with this entire situation, feeling like he's being avoided, Shakur Stevenson attaches the ducking label to Vasyl Lomachenko.
You know, because Isaac didn't want nothing to do with him. Devin Haney, he's moving up to 140. Fat fucking chance that Mayweather Promotions or Gervonta Davis or anybody over there decides to make Shakur an offer.
He's frustrated. Man, Vasyl Lomachenko, I used to have a lot of respect for you, claimed Stevenson on his social media account. But you're just as scary as everybody else I see. By and large, Haney has been the only person on Lomachenko's mind. His newfound obsession with the undisputed lightweight champion stems from their recent showdown. Just a few short months ago, Lomachenko stood on the ropes, raised his hands in the air, and waited patiently for the 3 judges sitting ringside to hand him his newly won titles. That, of course, never happened, as Haney was given a close, unanimous decision.
Irate and flummoxed by what took place, the now 35-year-old has demanded an immediate rematch, which he isn't going to get.
I maintain my original position. Originally, what I thought was going to happen was Vasyl Lomachenko was going to end up beating Devin Haney, at which point he would then defend the undisputed crown against Shakur Stevenson, who would retire him.
And he still might.
It's not the way it happened. If the right man would have won the fight, if Vasyl Lomachenko wouldn't have got robbed, if he would have got the decision, he would have had the confidence riding high from his victory over Devin to go straight into the fight with Shakur, which would have likely been billed as a pay-per-view. Good money for both of them, for Shakur,
For Lomachenko.
Behind the guise of tribalism and race politics, there are a few individuals out there that are still willing to argue on Devin Haney's behalf, still endorsing that woeful decision that left everybody pissed off on Saturday night going into Sunday morning.
Don't go projecting your tribalism or your nationalism onto me, because I'm not fucking Ukrainian. I'm not even from Europe.
Just call it a spade a spade. The right man didn't win the fight, and as a result of that, Shakur Stevenson is stuck between a rock and a hard place. If Loma would have won, he would have had the confidence to go straight into the Stevenson fight, but now he's contemplating retirement, at least according to Shakur.
Shakur, who said, "You'd rather retire than get in the ring with me."
According to Bob Arum, Vasyl Lomachenko is going to end up sitting the rest of this year out. And given that he's in his mid-30s, he's already a 3-division champion.
Just got robbed.
How do you muster up the energy, the desire to keep going when by all rights you did your best and you should have won and they took it from you? How do you conjure up the energy to get back on the saddle, to get back on the horse?
You know, I think Shakur Stevenson would have retired Vasyl Lomachenko if things would have happened in the right order. Here and now, I'm convinced he'd do more than retire him. He'd hurt him.
Because his confidence isn't at an all-time high. He didn't achieve that goal, that dream. He may be at an all-time low.
According to Shakur, he's thinking about retiring, so what does that tell you?
If it's the way that Bob says it is, and he sits the rest of the year out, we're talking about a guy who's 35 going on 36.
I don't know how much more Vasyl Lomachenko has left in the well to give to the sport of boxing.
Some other guys that Top Rank has floating around at 135, they very recently signed George Kambosos. There's still Jermaine Ortiz.
Emmanuel Navarrete, who we talked about in my previous segment, him potentially moving up in weight for a Stevenson fight.
They've got a couple of guys there to keep Shakur Stevenson busy. I think the most high-profile fight would have to be the Navarrete fight, though even that fight pales in comparison to a potential Haney fight or a Loma fight or a Davis fight if he could find his fucking balls.
Shakur, he's just too good for his own good.
It's a hot potato.